Welcome to Epic Recaps. Today, we are going to recap a 2014 action-adventure film, Kingsman: The Secret Service. Let's get started, turn on subtitles and spoilers ahead. The story starts when a helicopter flies to a building in the Middle East. Here, four men are interrogating a terrorist leader by tying him to a chair. One of them, Harry Hart, also known as Galahad, threatens to shoot the terrorist until he talks. The terrorist reveals a grenade pin in his mouth when he lifts his head. Harry's friend Lee jumps on the terrorist to prevent the explosion, sacrificing himself. Harry's other two friends, Merlin and Lancelot, take off their masks. Harry acknowledges Lee's bravery and then invites Lancelot to join the Kingsman agency. Harry goes to visit Lee's wife, Michelle, to tell her that her husband has died. He gives her a Medal of Honor in Lee's name, which has a phone number on the back in case she ever needs help. He also tells her to say, "Oxford's not brogues," to let him know it's her. Michelle doesn't want the medal, so Harry gives it to Lee's son, Gary, who is also known as Eggsy. The scene then jumps ahead 17 years to Argentina, where a professor named James Arnold is being held captive. Suddenly, there's a knock at the door. One of the thugs answers it and finds Lancelot outside. Lancelot shoots one of the thugs and fights and kills the rest of them before pouring himself a drink. Then, there's another knock at the door. Lancelot goes to answer it, but he's suddenly attacked by a woman named Gazelle, who cuts him in half in one attack with her bladed prosthetic legs. Gazelle then opens the door for her boss, Richard Valentine, a billionaire. Valentine and Gazelle rescue Arnold and take him away with them. Harry returns to London and goes to a tailor shop, which is actually a front for the Secret Service Kingsman headquarters. Kingsman is a private intelligence agency started by British high society members who lost their heirs in World War I. There, Harry meets with his supervisors, Merlin and Arthur. They grieve over Lancelot's death and figures out that the people behind the scene are linked to tragedies in Uganda and Chechnya. Meanwhile, Eggsy is now in his early 20s, living with his mom, her new husband Dean, and their new baby in a shabby apartment. They are struggling financially. Eggsy and his friends go to a pub and notice a group of Dean's thugs nearby. The thugs approach Eggsy's table and tell him to leave. Eggsy follows order but takes one of the thugs' car keys. He and his friends then start doing stunts with the car in front of the thug. Then they drive away and run into the police. Eggsy drives the car in reverse for a few blocks until he crashes into another car. Eggsy tells his friends to escape and says he will deal with the situation alone. He drives the car directly into the police vehicle. In the following scene, Eggsy has been arrested. The police officer tells him that he could face 18 months in jail if he doesn't reveal his friend's identity. After the officer leaves, Eggsy takes out the Medal of Valor from around his neck and calls the number on the back. He remembers the phrase, "Oxford's not brogues," but the person on the other end says he has dialed the wrong number. Later, Harry bails Eggsy out of jail and takes him to a nearby pub. There, Dean's thugs approach Eggsy and threaten him. Harry tries to reason with them, but the leader of the thugs is disrespectful and insults Harry. Harry gets angry and walks away and locks the front door, saying, "Manners make the man." He uses the hook of his umbrella to grab a glass and hits the main thug with it. He then swiftly beats up the rest of the thugs, even making them fight each other. Eggsy is amazed by Harry's fighting skills. After the fight, Harry tells Eggsy not to tell anyone what he has seen and walks away by tapping him on the shoulder. When Eggsy gets home, Dean confronts him about what he did to his friend's car. Michelle tries to defend Eggsy, but Dean pushes her aside. Harry had secretly placed a microphone on Eggsy's shoulder, allowing him to hear everything. Harry then speaks through the microphone and warns Dean that he has proof of his multiple offenses and will report him to the authorities if he doesn't let Eggsy go. Harry invites Eggsy to meet him at the tailor shop he previously mentioned. Dean allows Eggsy to leave the apartment. Eggsy goes to the tailor and meets Harry, who offers him a job with the Kingsman, just like his father. Eggsy agrees and they go to a secret underground location to meet other recruits. Eggsy makes friends with a girl named Roxy, but a boy named Charlie and his friends tease him. Later, Harry meets Professor Arnold, who was released by his kidnappers. He questions Arnold about his kidnappers when Arnold suddenly screams and his head bursts, causing a strange fluid to spray on Harry's face. In the meantime, two thugs enter the building, and Harry detonates a grenade before jumping out the window. Unfortunately, he gets injured in the explosion and go into coma. When Valentine discovers Arnold's death, he begins to investigate who is after him. Later, while the new recruits are sleeping, the room begins to fill with water. Everyone, except for Eggsy, tried to get some air by reaching out to the toilet pipes. Eggsy tried to open the exit door, but it didn't work. Then, he swam to a glass enclosure and broke it with his fist to release the water into the other room. Merlin was there to notice their behavior. He praised Eggsy for trying to help, but said that the team didn't work together, which caused their friend Amelia to die. Next, Valentine and Gazelle are seen having dinner with the Scandinavian Princess Tilda and the Scandinavian Prime Minister. Valentine shares his plan to fight climate change, and the Prime Minister supports it. However, Tilda thinks Valentine is crazy and leaves the table. She then calls the guards for the help, but Gazelle kills the guards with her prosthetic legs and captures her. Here, the trainees are given puppies to train as part of their training. Eggsy is given a small pug to train, but the puppy doesn't listen to him at first. As time passes, Eggsy and the pug become close, and he names it JB. Later, Harry recovers from the coma. He, Merlin, and Eggsy discover that Arnold had a chip in his neck that made his head explode. The Scandinavian Prime Minister also has a similar scar, which leads them to believe he has a chip too. Merlin thinks Valentine may be responsible since he recently met with the Prime Minister. Eggsy shares a video of Valentine's latest event, where he promises to give out free SIM cards worldwide. Valentine is also suspected to have kidnapped some famous leaders and celebrities. To find out more about Valentine's plans, Harry goes undercover at his estate. Over dinner they eat McDonald's and talks about their love for James Bond movie. But Harry doesn't learn much except for seeing one of Valentine's aides holding a pamphlet of a church located in Kentucky. Next, Eggsy, Roxy, Charlie, and 3 of Charlie's friends are the only recruits left. Their next mission is to jump from a plane and land on a target on the ground. Before they jump, Merlin tells them to figure out what to do if someone doesn't have a parachute. One recruit panics and opens his chute too soon. Eggsy takes charge and has everyone hold hands. In the end, only he and Roxy remain to deploy their parachutes. They pull Roxy's parachute when they're 300 feet from the ground. Only Eggsy, Roxy, and Charlie manage to land on the target, while the other recruits are eliminated. Later, Harry takes Eggsy to the Kingsman tailor shop and shows him a room filled with secret weapons, like a hand grenade designed as a lighter, a pen that can trigger poison, and shoes with poison-tipped blades. These weapons are designed to be undetectable by regular people. After that, they find Valentine and Gazelle are waiting for them in the shop lounge. Then, Valentine is seen trying an outfit from the shop. Their next mission is to go to a nightclub and make a young girl fall for them. However, while talking to her, they all pass out because their drinks were spiked with drugs. Eggsy wakes up to find himself tied to railway tracks. An interrogator tries to get him to reveal information about the Kingsman and Harry, but Eggsy refuses to cooperate, even as a train approaches him. Just in time, he is pulled under the tracks, and the train passes over him. Later, Harry informs Eggsy that he and Roxy passed the exam, but Charlie failed and was sent home. As their final task, Eggsy and Roxy are ordered to shoot their pet dogs. Eggsy attempts to shoot his pug as ordered, but he can't bring himself to do it. Meanwhile, a gunshot is heard from Roxy's interrogation room. As a result of his failure to complete the task, Arthur sends Eggsy home. Eggsy is disappointed, but when he drives home in Arthur's car, the car takes him at Harry's place. Then, Harry reveals that the gun he was given was empty and that Amelia is actually a member of the Berlin Kingsman who faked her death. Roxy becomes an agent and starts working for Kingsman. Merlin calls Harry and tells him about a strange group of people gathering at a church. Harry goes to Kentucky to check it out and joins the people at the church. Here, Valentine and Gazelle are nearby and getting ready to use the signal on the people in the church who have Valentine's SIM cards. The signal turns on and everyone, even Harry, gets very angry and starts attacking each other. Harry defends himself by stabbing, hitting, and exploding anyone who tries to hurt him until he is the only one left in the church. Eggsy, Merlin, and Arthur watch everything from different places. After leaving the church, Harry encounters Valentine and Gazelle outside. Valentine says the SIM card signal makes people aggressive. Then, he shoots Harry in the head and he dies. Eggsy is terrified and screams. Later, Eggsy goes to meet Arthur at the tailor shop. He tells Arthur that Harry recorded Valentine's confession, and they both have a drink in Harry's memory. Eggsy sees a scar from an implant under Arthur's ear, which shows that Arthur is also working with Valentine. Valentine reveals to Arthur that his ultimate goal is to use his SIM cards to commit mass genocide and wipe out most of the world's population to address climate change. He thinks humans are like a disease to the Earth and that eradicating them would be beneficial for the planet's future. Arthur and Eggsy toast to Harry and take a sip of their drinks. Later, Arthur takes out his pen and presses the button to activate the poison he mixed in Eggsy's drink, but he ends up dying instead. Eggsy had switched the drinks when Arthur wasn't looking. With this new information, Eggsy quickly goes to Merlin and Roxy to stop Valentine's plans. Roxy is sent in space using 2 big balloons to launch a missile at one of Valentine's satellites. Meanwhile, Merlin and Eggsy sneak into Valentine's headquarters where he is throwing a party for his supporters. Eggsy uses Arthur's identity as an opportunity to enter Valentine's headquarters. He sees Princess Tilda locked up in a cell. Roxy reaches the satellite, but one of the balloons bursts due to the high altitude. Despite this setback, she still manages to launch the missile before the other balloon bursts, causing her to fall back to Earth. Roxy deploys her parachute and lands safely. Suddenly, Charlie shows up and holds a knife to Eggsy's throat. Eggsy uses the ring on his finger to electrocute Charlie and escape. He runs back to the plane while fighting and shooting Valentine's henchmen. The missile launched by Roxy successfully hits Valentine's satellite, delaying the signal from being activated. However, Valentine gains control of a closer satellite and activates the signal using a biometric scanner that Merlin can't bypass. The signal spreads globally, causing people to become aggressive and violent all around the world. Michelle at her home tries to kill her daughter while under the influence of the signal. Meanwhile, Eggsy tries to stop Valentine but gets trapped by his security guards. Merlin decides to activate the implants, causing everyone's heads explode like fireworks, including the security guards and world leaders. Eggsy reaches Valentine and Gazelle's location and shoots at them, causing Valentine to move his hand away from the scanner and stop the transmission. Gazelle tries to kill Eggsy but he fights back and injures her with his poisonous shoe blade. Finally, he tears off one of her legs and throws it at Valentine, killing him instantly. This action permanently disables all the signals. Merlin and Roxy praises Eggsy for saving the planet. In the final scene, Michelle and Dean are seen sitting at the tavern when Eggsy walks in wearing a suit. He tells Michelle that his new job has given him privileges, including a new home for Michelle and his sister. But Eggsy is harassed again by Dean's thugs, but he remains calm and polite, then walks towards the door and shuts the front door and says, "Manners make the man." He takes a glass with an umbrella hook and throws it at Dean's face. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe for new videos.